Hello! There was a debate on Vice YouTube channel about feminism, trans white, and the Me Too movement. Let's dive into it.
You're just going to ignore the pay gap, regulation over bodies.
The pay gap has been proven and debunked.
The pay gap doesn't exist.
My friend.
It doesn't. It's the industries that women pick.
Let's talk about it.
There's a pay gap, but it's because women don't want to do the hardest industries.
I don't think it's that simple. I think that's an oversimplification. I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver most of the time. Women also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different. And to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
That's spot on. Spot on from Sydney. I like the fact that Pearl highlighted that women tend to pick jobs that are not as risky, that don't pay as much. That's the first part. And Sydney's response is a very good compliment because women and men are different, as simple as that. The sole reason that women can give birth is already a defining factor. Usually the pay gap is not between women and men. The pay gap is between mothers and the rest of the workers. If, for example, you take a man who doesn't have children and has never been married, on the other side, you take a woman that has never been married and doesn't have children. The woman will earn more money on average than the man. That's a fact. So it's not about men versus women. And a lot of the aspect of the pay gap is not being discussed. Men tend to work longer hours as well. So even in the same jobs, even in the very same position, men tend to work longer hours. So for example, 10% more time leads to 40% more income. And it's very easy to understand. As you are accumulating 10% more knowledge and experience on a regular basis, in the long run, this is being compounding into 40% on average. So when we look at the pay gap, we should not only look at the figures between men and women. We should take all of the attributes into perspective. And that is how we can have a global view of what the pay gap is. Okay, let's continue.
Just for women, but also for everyone.
So which barriers?
Those barriers that you don't believe in.
What does it do for you to have a bunch of ramps in your life? It doesn't do shit. I need those ramps, right?
Can we stick to male versus female?
Exactly.
That's my question. So I'm thinking male versus female.
But feminism includes ability, it includes
my
race.
Question is
you
for
guys
women.
can talk.
Women versus men. Like what barriers do we need removed? Because that's my statement. I'm not stating anything else. I'm stating women versus men.
It's very silly.
Like so what barrier?
Why is it silly? It's a fair question.
So, yeah, but
It's not a fair question. It's
how is it not a fair question?
Kind of proving the point.
Oh, that's very sad. That's very sad that when a woman is asking a very simple question, the other woman on the panel can't answer a very simple question. What barrier do women face today that prevent them to do anything they want? Is there any barrier today that prevent a woman from achieving what she wants to do? If a woman wants to be CEO, if she wants to work as an IT consultant, as a nurse, any type of job, all of jobs are open to women. And in addition, we are changing the quota to make sure that more women are getting into specific fields. We are funding STEM universities, STEM fields for women, for them to have more opportunities. And we are lowering the barrier, the entry barrier, for a lot of jobs for women to participate. For example, in the police, in the military, in the fire brigade. All of these type of jobs have lowered the entry point for women. What is the barrier today women are facing to enter these jobs? And that's the question that they couldn't answer. And sadly enough, they had to attack her personally, saying that this is a stupid question. It's not stupid, it's a very fair question. And if it was a man asking it, they probably would have said, oh, it's a misogynistic. But because it's Pearl, they can only treat her as stupid. It's very sad. And I'm very glad that Pearl is holding the other woman accountable. And she's asking the difficult questions. Because a lot of the time, women are going to be speaking a lot about different things that they think are happening. But when we ask an example, when we ask a case, they can't answer. And I'm very glad that Pearl is pointing where it's painful. This is getting a bit animated. I like this. Let's go to the next extract.
I think it's mindset holding them back a lot, because if you want to be in a competitive world and compete, you have to have the right mindset. And I think a lot of people blame their lack of confidence or what society tells them for the reason that they're not achieving what they need to achieve, when that's not the case. You have to have the mindset of achieving, because the men who built the world had the mindset of building it. So the women who want to engage and build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
I don't think we do. I think it's like assuming that we all want to be capitalist babies.
Right.
I think that men are not well adjusted in the society, and women are not trying to re-embody what they have built for us. I think that like what we're forgetting is a very important detail, which is just like human respect and dignity.
Yeah,
and not asking people to prove what their experience is and to prove to you. Like, it is like such conservative thinking to say like, I don't understand, explain it to me, versus just saying, I don't understand and let me respect what you are saying.
What kind of garbage is that? Obviously, if I don't understand, I'm going to ask you a question. So basically, you're talking nonsense, and I can't even challenge you on this, because I have to accept your life experience. That's madness. Throughout history, we have always improved by debating ideas, debating theories. And now, because we are in 2023, we can't even discuss anymore. If someone says something, we have to accept the fact without challenging, without using our brains to think. That's a big regression. And I'm very sad that people are using this argument to avoid receiving pushback on their crazy ideas. This woman on the right seems to deeply care about dignity, respect, and respecting other people's experience. So let's see how it flies.
Women pushing that propaganda. It's all brainwash. Like you.
Oh, it's brainwash because you don't agree with me.
No,
so
I've been brainwashed.
brainwashed.
I have lived deeply institutionalized.
Man,
I have lived under Islam.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any of that. Like, there's no like
You're not
guilt
interested
for
in
me.
human
No, I'm not interested in like
living.
thinking that like women are doing this really bad thing. Like in my religion, abortion is actually allowed. If the woman needs it, she's allowed, because you know it's very interesting how like fundamental America is. Like,
So she doesn't really seem to respect other people's opinion that much. What do you think? It's great to talk about respecting other people's feeling, but when it comes to actually doing it, she doesn't seem to respect other people. She's treating the other woman as if she has been brainwashed. Is that respect? Is that respecting the life experience of someone? Using the term being brainwashed, is that respectful to another individual? Seriously? That's very rude. And she should be ashamed of saying this. Let's continue to see if she's very respectful.
Can I also ask, do you have any care to empower women, or is disempowering women part of your like steez?
To see this as shame, insult, guilt, need to be right. Okay. Why is it empowering to sleep around?
No,
Why is
what
that
I'm saying is
empowering?
like, I feel like you do like take like the way you speak on women is very sort of like, women just don't want to do this. Women just don't have this. Women just want this.
Maybe I should
and I
change my
wonder
term. Maybe
why
I
you
should
have
say-
so much like hatred towards
I
women.
don't hate
Where
women.
does that root in? It
I don't
sounds
hate
like
women.
you do.
I am a woman.
You can clearly see that specific woman on the right side, as soon as someone disagrees with her ID, she goes to attack personally the person. Apparently, she's the one that is virtue signaling, that she talks about respect, dignity, and respecting other people's experiences. But she's the one attacking other people. She's the one saying that Pearl has a hatred of other women? How is that respecting other people's opinion? Is the people that are the most virtue signalers that are the worst? They are the worst individual to interact with because they pretend they are nice people. They will pretend that they do care about other people. But all they care about is that their opinion is being propagated everywhere. That people listen to them, but they are not willing to listen to other people. They are not willing to genuinely engage in the honest conversation. And as soon as they disagree with someone else, they are going to personally attack the other person. So when you get to this situation, and I think Pearl perfectly handled it, she didn't take it personally. She just focused on the topic and continued to argue the point. Argue the discussion. Do not argue on the personal attack. That's a very good takeaway from this conversation.
And we're constantly shouted over and talked over regardless of what we look like because there's one group in society that basically takes precedence, and it's frustrating. So yeah, of course, it's frustrating because when we try to talk about it, we get shouted down, we get told to be quiet, we get spoken down too as well. So there's hostility there for plenty of women.
Let's try to make this an opportunity to speak.
You're literally a white woman from Australia. You live in a bubble and you're pissed that voices that have been silenced forever finally can be heard.
That's why
So, it's the same woman that was preaching about respect, about respecting other people's opinion, that when another woman is talking, she can't even wait to laugh, to express her discontentment about what she says. Are we in school to have such behavior where you can't even respect other people's opinion, when you can't even being respectful in your behavior, you have to laugh so loud that you're covering someone else's voice? Really? Is that what we call inclusion, diversity? Diversity is not only diversity of immutable characteristics. Diversity is about diverse point of view. People coming from different background or the same background, thinking differently and bringing different ideas to the table so we can continue to progress and innovate and come up with new ideas. So we can be confronted with opposite perspective and refine our thinking thanks to opposite views. Her behavior of laughing out loud when someone else is expressing their personal opinion is dreadful. I'm very sad to witness such behavior. And the worst part is that it's always the same people that are going to be signaling all the time, pretending that they are caring about the victims and the less fortunate, when they can't even respect people with other opinion. Let's continue.
It's the oppressive state of saying, I will force you to have a child even against your own will, right? Especially when you're thinking about women and girls who would be forced to have these children, who are already living in very traumatized and scarce situations. You want to ask about barriers? That's a barrier right there.
The biggest point of divergence between pro-life and pro-choice is the moment they make the decision, the moment they provide consent. So for a pro-lifer, the consent is given at the moment of engaging in unprotected sex, especially at the time of the month where you can potentially be pregnant. The pro-choice argument is that the consent is provided after someone gets pregnant. So someone will engage in unprotected sex, and after they are pregnant, they will decide whether they want to keep the baby. I think that's the major difference between the two, the pro-life and the pro-choice. So let's take an example. So you go on a hike on a very high mountain, and all you do is walking next to the edge. Next to the edge of the mountain, you keep walking very close to the edge. you're obviously engaging in a risky behavior. And unfortunately, you fall. Whose fault is it? When was the consent of the risky behavior provided? Is it when you decided to walk on the edge? When you know fair well that if you walk on the edge, you have a chance of falling down? Or when you're already in the fall, falling down, almost hitting the ground? At which point did you think this was a good idea? It's the same thing for consent. If you believe that consent is provided after you have had unprotected sex, then you're definitely on the pro-choice side. Otherwise, you're on the pro-life side. Okay, let's continue.
I think women want to sleep around and not have any consequence for it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, instead of, taking personal accountability and being on birth control, they just want to do whatever they want.
Thank you, Pearl. That's very true. Women want to do whatever they want. They don't want to have the consequences of their actions. They do not want to be accountable. And I'm not saying all women. Some women do not want to live with the consequences of their actions. And this is why they have so many ways, either from the state, when they choose the wrong partner, to provide the support, whether it is when they are engaging in risky sexual behavior, with abortion. At the end of the day, feminism has always been about trying to remove everything related to womanhood and pushing women to become much more like men. It has worked quite well. For example, the pill is providing a way of controlling women's mood to be more stable, also a way to avoid period and period pain for some women. Abortion has been a way to prevent women from being pregnant, for being basically having a womb. At the end of the day, feminism has always been about trying to have ways for women to be much more like men. And the same part of men that we criticize all the time about toxic masculinity and promiscuous behavior is exactly what a lot of feminists want as well. You can see on the panel, the most feminist women, or some of them are not necessarily biological women, want to be promiscuous, want to engage in promiscuous acts. Because they've bought into the feminism that the more you sleep around, the more independent you are. When, if you had asked men maybe 50 years ago, what would be the perfect world? They probably would say, yeah, women wanting to sleep with us without any type of engagement. That would be amazing. They would say probably something along the line of, today we have to get engaged, get married, meet the family, and commit, and if we decide to divorce, we are going to be publicly shamed. So ideally what we want is to be able to sleep with women, use them for sex, and do not see them the next day, and then change like this. That would be quite good. And this is exactly what feminism provided. So feminism provided a lot of men easy access to relationship or sex without any form of commitment. Okay, let's watch the rest regarding trans women in sport.
Years more of training. And so it's like you're taking away the little opportunity that we're given and we all work so hard for, and you're just giving it back to biological guys. It's like this will be the end of women's sports.
Have you tried confidence?
Eli, hold on a minute.
Sorry,
Eli.
confidence can't make me bench what a guy benches.
I don't
Confidence can't
understand
make
why you
me
guys are
6'7".
so hostile. She's sharing her
And
experience.
confidence
You guys are so obsessed with your own experiences and your own existence, and yet when a woman is sitting here telling you, I feel as though this is unfair and this is compromising and this situation is not helping women, you guys are like, meh, meh, meh. But when you're like, I'm a black person that did this, 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 and this, then it's valid and fair and viable.
Eli, I want to give you the chance to respond.
So this is basically a joke of a talking point. Everyone has biological advantages in sports. How tall are you?
5'11" and a half. I'm tall.
I'm 5'8". I am a trans woman. You would crush me. You would absolutely crush
Bone
me.
density, wrist strength,
Yeah.
muscle density, you can't switch those.
Yeah, exactly. You would crush me.
But also, Eli, you would never play at the level that Pearl plays because you would never get there.
So let me get.
The shame that they are trying to put on Pearl, stating if you try confidence, that's awful. That should not be acceptable. Some woman is sharing her experience. She's doing a lot of sport at the professional level. All they have to say is, oh, have you tried confidence to beat biological men? That's madness. That is mind-blowing. And then you have the trans woman who is a biological man mansplaining a woman about why she should not complain about biological men being in women's sport. Can you understand how crazy this sounds? A biological man mansplaining a woman about an issue related to women's sport. So she's allowed to mansplain. How crazy is that? Okay, let's watch the last extract.
Which is nonsense. You're perfect the way you are. That's literally the core of it. You are perfect the way you are. And anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is feeding into this industry and is just, they're not your friend or looking out for you.
Layla?
You're perfect the way you are if you take care of your body. If you take care of your health. Yes. You're not perfect the way you are if you are overweight, obese, if you are eating junk food, you are not even taking care of your sleep pattern, you're not even drinking enough water, you're not perfect the way you are. No, that's not true. If you're damaging purposefully your body and you're causing your body to put on so much weight that your joints are in pain, you're not perfect the way you are. You have to look after your body because you have only one body in this life. Your body is yourself. So you're not perfect the way you are. If you are overweight or obese, you have to make sure that you're healthy. And having joint pains all the time, not being able to control what you eat, not being able to control your behavior, that's not healthy. And you're not perfect the way you are. Everyone, whether it's men or women, have to improve. Men realize this very early in life. Men tend to realize this because they do not have access to women. If they are a bum, they sleep in their parents, they don't have a job, they are obese, people are going to call them bum or overweight or fat. That's fine. But a woman will only realize this when she's like 40, 45. When she can't get the man of her dream. When she can't have children anymore. And that's going to be a roller coaster in terms of emotion. So if you want to stay away from antidepressants, as a woman or even as a man, you have to obviously accept your immutable characteristics. But the rest of it, your character, your body shape, your body fat, all of these characteristics can be improved. So you have to work on them to be better every day. And as a woman, you can work on yourself to be a high value woman. There is some margin for improvement. And if you want to know about it, if you want to understand what a high value woman is, I recommend you to watch this video that is going to give you all the information about what is a high value woman and how you can become one.